Sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
He's Garret Price.
How's it going?
It's going swell here as we enter week 3, because week 2 is through. And if you're 0-2, well, I guess you didn't know. Even though it would be no.
It is funny how that works sometimes. Like I arguably my best team is actually 0-2 to start, which is just funny how that like goes sometimes.
It's a weird
sometimes you run into a buzzsaw, right? You're like second highest scoring person and you play the highest scoring person. That kind of stuff stinks. But we talk about it all the time. Weeks 1 through 4 are so weird in the NFL right now because nobody's playing in the preseason. Everyone's trying to figure out their own team in those first few weeks, let alone trying to game plan for another one is confusing enough. So wacky things happen in these first few weeks nowadays.
Yeah, you don't overreact to the first couple of weeks. You know, you start to see how everything's going to start to kind of cement itself and how it's going to start to really kind of form. But we're still in the early stages where we're still seeing fluky games, right? Like we're going to talk about some guys that had drastic week 1s compared to week 2s early off the show. Then we're going to talk some rookies too, kind of see how we look at these rookies after 2 weeks as well. But early on, you can't rush to judgment. And too many things are going to change, right? Like the quarterbacks are still growing rapport with the receivers. People are getting acclimated in the systems. Some players are just coming back, like a Quinshon Judkins. And listen, some people are leaving. We talked about how healthy of a week 1. We just lost 4 quarterbacks pretty much over the last week and a half.
It's crazy too, because we did the show, the Risers and Fallers show. And at that point we're like, we got 3 injuries on the week, blah, blah, blah. And then like 2 hours later, all of a sudden 3 quarterbacks are hurt. And you're like, what just happened? Yeah.
And some of them are like, we all had a, like the Lincoln of Joe Burrow is going to miss very significant time. Now it looks like he's pretty much out for the year. Sucks. Joe Burrow is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, and it looks like every other year he misses a season. So that's a true bummer. Really going to kill your T. Higgins shares. It really will kill T. Higgins. Look for when Jake Browning comes in. He everything's short and sweet. A lot of screens, which is going to benefit Jamar Chase. He's the leader there when it comes to screens. JJ McCarthy could be out anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. We do not know yet. Carson Wentz is coming there and back up him out there. Purdy is still out as well. So they got Matt Jones out there as well. So quarterbacks in Superflex.
Maybe Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels with a knee. Yeah. I mean, I literally have a league where I have Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy as my quarterbacks, and they're my only quarterbacks. So if Jaden misses, I'm in trouble. I put an offer out for Daniel Jones this morning. We'll see how Indiana Jones, if he can come back to the fan club. Because I have submitted my membership, by the way.
Did you?
Yes.
You re-upped?
Well, I've already been in the fan club. Like I never left the fan club.
You're just trying to be part of the council again.
I'm trying to get a part of the board. Yeah. Like I just commissioner or what's it when you're in charge of the money? Treasury. I'm just
Treasurer.
I'm starting to try to small. Yeah. The commissioner of the treasury. Like, let me hold your monies. Let me hold all them dimes, baby. So interesting week. We lost Aaron Jones. He went to IR as well. So the injuries have started. And unfortunately, they don't stop. So it's one of those things as well. It just goes to show you, like, if you're like, I'm 0-2, I'm just going to blow it up. Like, you got to be patient. Like we said, not only does the NFL take 4 weeks or so to kind of cement itself, your league takes that long to see how it goes. You can have a team that starts off 4-0, and then they lose 2 of their stud players, and they're in dire straits. So It's a way for you to sneak in. You know, we talk about eating healthy on this show. It's a war of nutrition. It really is. Right. It's a war of nutrition out there, and who can eat the most and stay healthy and be stand at the end. If you have a very solid roster, then this is the importance of depth and how we talk all summer long about making these small trades to add these guys to your roster just for the depth, right? Like we talk about, too many people want to focus on these big trades you make throughout the summer. And even now it's small trades when these windows present themselves where people are like, hey man, I'm trying to put this player on their trade block. I'm trying to get rid of them. Like, see if there's a path for you if you need a depth, because you got to be mindful where some teams are so quick to act to blow it up, or try to get value in what they look like a small window. Like some people might be like, I'm all out on Danny Dimes, on Daniel Jones. Like this is a window for me to sell. I have to jump on this and get any value I can. Where meanwhile, I'm thinking, dude, this team hasn't even punted the ball yet. Like I think there's a better chance to extend Daniel Jones at this point. Again, it's only 2 weeks, not trying to get ahead of my skis here. But I mean, right now, if they don't punt the ball all year, Daniel Jones is getting extended in that Shane Steichen offense as a thank you for saving his job. So trying to find value everywhere you can in your dynasty league.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get into our first segment here. First segment is a little Jekyll and Hyde. We're going to talk about players that had very different week 1 versus week 2. Now, some of them had the better week 1, others had the better week 2, but we want to talk about which one do we think is more accurate, the good week or the bad week? And obviously, probably all of them are going to be somewhere in between, but which one are we closer to? So let's start off with a guy that has been, I could say it was week 1 and week 2, but it was really fourth quarter of week 1 was Dr. Jekyll, and then the other 7 quarters was Mr. Hyde. So we have JJ McCarthy, his week 1 performance, 23.2 points. He was 13 of 20 for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, also had 2 rushing attempts for 25 yards. So 23 point week 1, but not even 5 points in week 2. He was 11 for 21, 158 yards, no touchdowns, a pick, also had a fumble, had 5 attempts for 25 yards. So where are we at as far as JJ McCarthy goes?
Yeah, I mean, his stats were almost identical to week 1, outside the fumble.
Just without the touchdowns.
Yeah, so that's where it really fumbled. And listen, he also got hurt. He had a bad ankle. Obviously, he's not playing now, so he was also hurt. This is somebody who's a 21-year-old. What is he, 21, just turned 22, somewhere around there, young quarterback. First 2 games in the NFL. I'm not jumping to conclusions. Guy just had a baby this week. Could have had some doo-doo still on his fingers. Who knows? A little slippery out there. We wouldn't know. Footballs are brown, so it's impossible to tell. We'll never know, I guess. It could be a conspiracy. I don't know. And for me, this doesn't concern me. Like, it just more sucks now that he's hurt. He's going to miss some games and miss some playing time because he needs all the time he can get. But, I'm still going to trust a player. I'm still going to trust a system. I still feel good about him long term. He's looked good in moments out there for Minnesota in this offense. So, yeah, you're right. 6 quarters of come on, buddy. Let's acclimate ourselves a little bit more quickly compared to that 1 quarter. But listen, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are off the slow starts. We talked about it last week, like Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, CJ, all these quarterbacks for the most part, outside of Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar, they're out to slow starts right now in the NFL season. And we've seen that over the last couple of years, right? When we talk about the offense is getting going, it's a quarterback as well. Like Matt mentioned, these guys don't play in the preseason, most of them, so they don't get a lot of snaps. And the one guy who did play the most, Joe Burrow, is now out for the year. So maybe they shouldn't play guys as much in the preseason. It's a bad toast.
It's such a weird balancing act that they're trying to do as far as getting guys prepared but also preventing injuries. That, I don't think this is going away anytime soon. I think, I think it's going to get worse. I think they're going to add an 18th game. They're going to drop a preseason game, and this is just going to get uglier for us fantasy people. It's going to be great. 18 games is going to be just one more week of fantasy football for us, but it is going to be kind of a fight, I think, at the beginning of every season to kind of figure out what's real, what's not. And as far as JJ McCarthy, listen, he's, like you said, Rich, he's a young guy. This is still a great offense for quarterbacks. I think we're going to see Carson Wentz come in, even though he just signed at the end of August 26th or something. He's going to come in. He's probably going to look okay in this offense. He might even look a little bit better than JJ McCarthy, just because, McCarthy's one thing that he kind of, I was listening to Sirius XM NFL radio, and there was, I can't remember which quarterback it was, but he was talking about JJ McCarthy's kind of just trajectory on balls and stuff like that. He's all fastballs right now, and he kind of needs to grow and learn how to kind of layer things and get things over the top of guys a little bit better. And sometimes even just drive the ball, to the far hashes. It's just a little bit slightly different in the NFL. Obviously, he had all last year to kind of absorb as much mentally as he could, but he wasn't doing all that physical stuff that we're talking about when it's talking about like trajectories and throwing to your wide receivers. So he wasn't able to do all of that stuff, at least not in game speed. So he's kind of getting his first bite at the apple here, and it hasn't been great. I'm not gonna ding a guy for his first 2 NFL starts ever, especially when we like the player and we like the system. So I don't know that it's 23 points all the time for a guy like McCarthy that you can expect week in and week out, but I would not expect it to be close to 5 points per game either, just because of this offense and the weapons that they have.
You mentioned a backup quarterback, Carson Wentz, coming in there looking fine. You got to remember when Josh Jacobs came in for a couple games, when Nick Mullins came in from a fantasy football perspective, they were QB1s. So there is a chance that, and obviously I think JJ finishes quarterback 12 last week for week 1. So there is a chance, like you mentioned, that Carson Wentz can come in and be a quarterback 1 this week as a filler if you need help.
Yeah, and you guys are absolutely right. It's still very early. There's no need to declare a guy good or bad. Honestly, it's hard to even do it within the first season, specifically at quarterback. It takes these guys some time, but it is a bummer. I think it is a bummer with him having a whole year to absorb this offense and how good quarterbacks typically look in this offense. I would say I'm underwhelmed, I think would be a fair way to put it. Like, I expected more, especially against the Bears defense that just gave up 20 or 52 points to the Lions and stuff like that. So I am a little bit concerned. Could easily turn it around. We saw a guy like Bo Nix last year. His first 4 weeks were pretty rough, and then he went on a real hot stretch to end the year. So definitely not going to bury this guy at all. But I will say that I had higher expectations than what I've gotten the first 2 weeks. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, you expect a little too much out of the boys.
Yeah. Clearly I did. All right, let's get to the next guy. Breece Hall. Breece Hall had 16.5 points in week 1, so he was a solid fantasy asset for you this in week 1. But in week 2, it was a struggle bus, not just for him, but the entire team. But he had 5.8 points in week 2. So how are we feeling? Matt, we'll start with you this time. How do we feel about these two guys? Or not these two guys, it's one guy, but very different. Felt like two guys at times, two different players.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to ding Breece Hall too bad on this one. Obviously, Justin Fields went out pretty, in this game, and they're working with their backup quarterback Tyrod Taylor in there. So I think that kind of makes them a little bit one-dimensional. It's a lot easier to load up the box and stop a guy from running and kind of being effective when that's the outcome. You know that the guy's not much of a threat to pass the ball. So I'm not going to ding him too much here. I would expect it was a concussion, right, for Fields?
Yeah. For Fields, yeah, he left in the 4th.
It's pot. What'd you say?
So didn't even mention him in the quarterback carousel of injuries.
Right. Yeah. I knew there was another one that we were forgetting about, but he's likely, listen, concussions, he might miss this week also. So there might be another harsh week coming for Breece Hall, but I think it's okay. I mean, I think he's going to be okay. From what I saw week 1, he's got his burst back. He's got his legs back underneath him. I think he's a guy that we can rely on kind of having a pretty decent season this year.
Yeah, it was just a rough game all around for the Jets together. I mean, you still have to be very encouraged. He had 10 carries for only 29 yards, which is, not good. But when you look at overall carries, I mean, he had 5 times as many as Braylon Allen. He was still the guy there. He was second in the team in targets with 3. So that just goes to show you as well, this offense just wasn't doing anything whatsoever. They weren't running the ball or throwing the football. So Breece really just didn't have any opportunity to shine. Like Matt mentioned, he just got his burst back, it seemed, after at least week 1. He looked fine this week as well. So still in on Breece Hall. No concerns there for me.
Yeah, I think this one's an easy. We lean toward week 1 of this Jekyll and Hyde monster here. Let's go to Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman had the big week 1, and obviously it was a monster game for Keon Coleman, 25.2 points. But in week 2, only 5.6 points. And for me on this one with Keon Coleman, I actually lean more toward week 2 being more accurate. And part of this for me was, and I mentioned it in one of the shows, we're doing a billion shows now. I have no idea which one it was, but in one of the shows that we did was his touchdown was off a deflected pass, and it was a ridiculously high scoring game. So, which we're not going to see that kind of shootout every week. If anything, I still think the Bills will score a lot of points, but it'll be more like this week where it's a little lopsided and they're just running the ball at the end, just kind of trying to grind things down. So I do not expect him to have the 11 targets that he had in week 1. He had 3 in week 2, which obviously I think that's a little low as well, but I think he's going to live in this 4 to 6 type of range. And that's what all of the pass catchers are going to do there.
Right.
If I had to pick somebody to lead the way, it would probably either be Dalton Kincaid or Khalil Shakir to be the leader in targets, probably not Keon Coleman. So for me, I lean toward week 2 being more so the case. What about you, Rich?
Yeah, I'd call this incomplete for me. I need to see more. We're talking about 2 completely different games, like you mentioned. That first week versus the Ravens, that was just a shootout back and forth. But that goes to show you when the Bills are going to be hustling, he saw 11 targets. Like, I'm not going to sweep that under the rug and say, oh, it's nothing to go by. Like, that was week 1. He got 11 targets. He was a clear number 1 receiver in that offense. Week 2, it's hard to go off because they absolutely blew out the Jets, right? Like, so it wasn't even close. So they were just running the football. Like, he only had 3 targets because they stopped throwing the football. They were up over double-digit points early on in that game. So yes, 3 targets, 3 receptions. I think he'll be falling to the little bit of the roller coaster ride of kind of like, how the Gabe Davis was, where you have some very big monster games. But you're going to have that game script because the Bills are a really good football team. They got a really good defense. Addition of Joey Bosa so far has been absolutely tremendous for that defensive line. So they're going to get ahead of games. They're going to run the football a little bit more. It's great for James Cook. So for me, Coleman, that kind of hurts, at the same time when you have this awesome teams, like with really good defense, you get a big, like they're going to start running the football. So for me, Keon Coleman, I want to be in the middle. Like, I want to see the next game where, like, hey, maybe it's like not as much of a blowout. They have to chase as much, but they're also not up as big as they were this game. So you said 4 to 5 targets per game. I could kind of
4 to 6.
Yeah. I could see like 6, potentially 7, because you're right. I do think that Dalton Kincaid, I'm just going to go with that theory of they want to run the offense as the first look through Kincaid. They do have Khalil Shakir out there. James
Kincaid
Cook
did lead the team in targets this week for what it's worth with 6 targets.
Kincaid.
But it was very spread around, 25 total targets and 6, 5, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2. Like, it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I don't lean towards week 1, 11 targets. That's just crazy. It's crazy. But I was also, it could be week 17. We can look back like, man, that week 1 Bills Ravens was the best game of the year.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to say. I think you can look at the Baltimore Ravens. They were constantly trying to chase them. You know what I mean? It never seemed like they were comfortable. They were always kind of trying to play catch up that entire game, to your point, Rich. So you looked on their schedule, like who else gives them that kind of game in order to get Keon Coleman another massive target share. And you look at their schedule, Miami, New Orleans, New England, Atlanta, none of those teams are posing the same kind of threat that like a Baltimore does, that a team like Buffalo is going to have to chase the entire game. So those next 4 games, I don't see another big outburst like this. I mean, it could happen, but in the same way it happened during that Baltimore game. Then it's their bye, and then Carolina and KC, Kansas City, they play them on the 9th. That could be another potential game where they're constantly trying to stay ahead of the chains and trying to do as much as possible. But then Miami again, and then maybe Tampa Bay in week 11. So that it's going to happen, I think, a few more times, but I don't know that it's going to be all that regular, and I don't think you're going to be able to rely on it a lot. So I'm with you guys. I do lean a lot closer to week 2 than week 1, but it could end up being a slightly better than week 2. I mean, that one, they seem to kind of control that game and just kind of roll the entire time.
Yeah. Let's get to another quarterback here. We're actually going to do 2 quarterbacks in a row, but this guy actually had the better week 2. We've had a few guys in a row with the better week 1. This guy had the better week 2. And that was Trevor Lawrence, 11.3 points. He was 19 for 31, 178 yards in that first week. But in week 2, he put up a 21.2 point game. So how are you guys feeling about Trevor Lawrence at this point Is he closer to that 20-point per game quarterback, or is he closer to that 11, 12-point per game quarterback?
I mean, I think again, tough. I mean, he played again because you can argue. You say 20 points, like we found out afterwards that Brian Thomas had a wrist issue in there because he was kind of weird. Like he was avoiding contact, really. Like he was like playing it really safe, and he was dropping football. So like honestly, Trevor Lawrence's numbers should have been better. Like really, he should have had a much better game. His kind of receivers kind of let him down that game. And it was also against the Bengals. The Bengals secondary is absolutely terrible. Outside Trey Hendrickson, they don't really got it much, but a bunch of doo-doo orange with some black stripes running through it. So for me, I think Trevor Lawrence, with the addition of Travis Hunter out there, you added Bashaw 2 in this week. Bashaw 2 and looked pretty good in a couple balls that he got. Definitely in the passing game, looked real explosive there. You have weapons that can catch the football in Travis Etienne, who's explosive. I think Travis Hunter, like if I had to lean one way or the other with Trevor Lawrence, I would go he leans closer to the 21 points per game. This is a team I do expect to have to continually stay in games, play either like basically to throw the football a lot week in and week out. So I think it's going to benefit Trevor Lawrence as Travis Hunter gets more acclimated in the NFL and learns how to run routes better. Brian Thomas get a little bit more healthy. Maybe Brent Strange up a little bit more. And then you get Bashaw 2 involved with Travis Etienne in the passing game. These are all positives for Trevor Lawrence. So I will lean towards this week is going to be more on par for Trevor Lawrence. And I think he has a potential to flirt with low-end QB1 numbers.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think obviously we all loved this offense. The coordinator Liam Cohen going from the Bucs over to Jacksonville, and the weapons there, like you were mentioning, Rich, are very good. So it is, I think, once they get kind of the dust settles and this thing, they figure out what they're doing with some of these. Obviously the wrist injury is going to hurt Brian Thomas. But Travis Hunter, once they figure out kind of where he fits exactly, I think this past week he didn't do anything right on offense as far as targets or catches, rather. Once they kind of figure that out as well, that's going to go a long way to kind of settling into this offense. But I would expect it to be closer to this 21.2 mark. I think he's a guy that can be a wide receiver one, a quarterback one, or borderline type of guy. So 21 points will get you there for sure. So I think he's at the 20, closer to the 21.2 rather than the 11.3 that he had in week one.
I think I'm going to be the negative Nancy on this one. I am a little bit worried about Trevor Lawrence. We've not seen a lot of great out of him over the course of his career. We've had some good. But we haven't had a lot of great out of him over the course of his career. And I would argue the Panthers and Bengals are probably the two worst defenses he's going to play against over the course of the season. And even in this good game, he still threw 2 interceptions against this team. It looks like him and Liam Cohen are already beefing a little bit on the sidelines. I don't know. I'm not bought into this whole revamped Jags thing yet. Maybe it does get better. It very well could, but I am a little bit nervous there. And you talk about the upcoming schedule. The next 3 weeks are going to tell us a lot because they played, like I said, arguably 2 of the worst, if not the 2 worst defenses in football, in the Panthers and the Jags. But then he has the Texans, the Niners, and the Chiefs over the next 3 weeks. So that's going to be a proving ground right there to see where is this offense really at, because those are, 3 of probably the top 5, for sure the top 10 defenses in the NFL right now. So I'm kind of waiting to see what happens there. If I can get him closer to that 18, 19, 20 points a game against those teams, then I'm going to feel a lot better about Trevor Lawrence. But right now, I'm probably the lowest of the 3 of us, and I am a little bit concerned about Trevor Lawrence. All right, let's move to Michael Penix. Michael Penix had a real nice week 1 where he put up 24 points, but in week 2, only 5.3 points. So, Matt, are you concerned about Michael Penix, or was it just, it was a weird week?
Listen, that offensive line is rough, right? They're Atlanta. Am I thinking? Yeah.
I don't think it's too bad. I think Houston's is really bad.
That's what I'm thinking of right now. Houston's. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, Minnesota's defense though is pretty decent, and they shut them down. Listen, I'm not as high on Michael Penix, I think, as either one of you. So for me, I don't think he's going to score 5.3 points. I just don't. You got Drake London. They're like kind of force feeding Pitts on the outside, which I think that's finally where they're finally figuring out like they should play this guy on the outside and just kind of get him the ball as a wide receiver finally. But he hasn't. It's not like he's making big plays. He's just making kind of routine catches and not making big plays. So for me to feel good about Michael Penix, I feel like he's got to have a couple more weapons. So I don't know that that's going to happen this year. Obviously, Bijan's amazing. And Drake London is pretty good. I just feel like he needs a couple of other pieces to kind of rise up for me to feel really good about him. So I think we're going to have some dud games out of him, and that's just going to be the way it goes this year. So it is what it is. And what I was thinking about, it was actually the other way around, where Atlanta's defense was crushing Minnesota and getting after that's what, like, in my brain, I'm like, was he getting? No, it was not. It was JJ McCarthy getting. JJ was getting a lot. Yeah. But anyway, so I don't know. Michael Penix, I think he's a fine player. I just don't love him necessarily. So he's a guy that I'm kind of a little bit lower on personally.
Yeah, I mean, somebody who, I know he got only a couple games last year, but these are the kind of players, kind of like a Bo Nix as well, where like you had so many college snaps. Like those are the guys I do expect to come in and be better sooner than later. And I think what the NFL does as well. So when you look at the games carried over from last year to this year, like there's some concern there. I'm definitely concerned from a fantasy football perspective. Obviously, he's going to have a very long leash with what they did by giving up on Kirk Cousins and taking him to the top 10. Michael Penix has got an extremely long leash here in Atlanta.
No doubt. Yeah.
And I don't even think that's going to be an issue. Like, I think he'll be a serviceable quarterback, but like, I don't think we're ever – I guess if I had here's a good way to look at it. We just mentioned there's a quarterback carousel right now going on in the NFL. If I could pivot off of Michael Penix and turn him into something like, hey, man, like a situation where I have Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy. Say you have Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels, and Joe Burrow. Like, if I could turn Michael Penix into any of those guys that are hurt, like Brock Purdy, can I flip Michael Penix for Brock Purdy straight up right now if there's somebody needs help? Can I give a little bit more? Can I get more of Michael Penix and get Joe Burrow? Because I don't know if Michael Penix is ever going to be a high-end quarterback. Because even when you look at his points last week, he had 6 attempts for 21 yards and a touchdown. Like that was 8 of his points. That was 33% of his whole total score last week. And this week we saw he had 1 attempt for -1 yards. And I expect that a little bit more out of Michael Penix. I don't view him as a rushing quarterback. He wasn't a rushing quarterback in Washington. He had the knee injury. So for me, unless he can get this offense cooking with Drake London, with Kyle Pitts, Bijan in the passing game, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a roller coaster too. And then when you take away from that rushing upside, that puts him more in the mid-range of, like, to me, his upside is probably more like quarterback 18, which is fine, which is good. It's a really good player to have on your roster. But if you take the insulation, you can take the youth, and right now, like I'd feel more comfortable if I could pivot off Michael Penix and try and just get better, like at least more upside. And that's not even saying like your quarterbacks are too hard to predict. I'll never sit here and take a young guy who's only played 4 games and like, this is what he's going to be for his career. We have no idea, right? Because like there's so much that goes around. Like there's only the elite guys that really come in and elevate their offenses, right? These elite quarterbacks can go in, play anywhere, and their team's significantly better. That's only a handful of guys in the NFL, period, point blank. Most of these quarterbacks are going to rely on coaching, offensive lines, weapons around them for high success. So for me, I don't know if Michael Penix right now is going to get where he needs to get. He definitely has a lot going for him with the weapons right there. But from a fantasy football perspective, I don't, again, 5.3 points is ridiculous, expect from anybody. But I think the 24 points is a little high too. I expect Michael Penix to be closer to like that 17 point per game quarterback, right around there, which is going to be like a mid-range quarterback too, which is, again, a very solid asset to have. Definitely a young guy. But if I can use this week alone and kind of pivot with all the injuries, I'd be very interested in doing that. And he's the kind of player that I might want to try and get out from, because I'm with Matt. Like, I don't know if I'm in love. For somebody who I like this college tape a lot, I don't know if I'm as excited now as watching him play in the NFL.
What about this, Rich? Would you go JJ McCarthy? Would you go straight up, like make that lateral move? I know you love JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I would personally.
Yeah, you're getting younger, 4 years younger, basically, or 3 years younger, and then
because Penix a little older. Yeah, I personally would do that. Like, if this was a window for me to get JJ McCarthy because I missed 1-2 weeks and get off him and get Penix. Like, I would even miss a couple of weeks and put it in my flex spot. Running back, receiver, tight end, it doesn't matter. I'll throw Juwan Johnson there and take 15 points per game, baby. So for me, yeah, that's a good comp. I think. And listen, we've been saying the show forever that Brock Purdy has been one of the most undervalued superflex quarterbacks out there. We know how much time he's going to miss. This might be a move. Like, people are like, oh man, young, even though they're probably pretty much the same age, Brock Purdy and Michael Penix. Like, if that's a move, I would. Like, honestly, if it came down to it, like, dude, I don't know, Purdy's been a quarterback one every time he's taking a snap. I've listened to Dissect's podcast. I need a second on top. I would probably pay a second on top of Michael Penix to get Brock Purdy.
I would, for sure.
So it's funny. We normally are a little more in lockstep, but I feel myself drifting away from you fellas tonight. I'm still very much so in on Michael Penix.
You know what? You can't do all these other shows with all these other people anymore. They're corrupting your mind.
I'm being influenced. No, I think when you look at what he did week one, he had a really good game, nearly 300 yards passing, came in clutch in some of those big moments, which was really good to see from a young quarterback in his second year. This week, it didn't really faze me. And maybe it should a little bit more, but to me, I think it was more of a game script thing. They ran the ball 39 times in this game against Minnesota. So they were saying, hey, this is where we think we have the edge on this team. We're just going to run the heck out of the football, and we're going to keep it low scoring, because right now Minnesota can't do anything against our defense. So we're going to just control the game clock and run it out, because we have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, who got more run than I would like. So I think for me,
quite simply put, it's always too much run when he's running.
Exactly. If any running back not named Bijan Robinson gets more than 3 touches in a game, too many. But I think the other thing too is I look at the division that these guys are playing in. They play against Tampa Bay, which very good team, but those are going to be some high scoring shootouts. Those should be fun. Then they also play the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. Like, those are 2 teams that they should mop up on, and they get to play all 3 of those teams twice a year. So I think I like the division that they're in. I like the player, and I think this one game didn't dissuade me too much from this guy. But let's see if we – go ahead.
No, and to go off of what you said, like I said, the game script, like, well, they threw less and they ran way more. You can make the same argument last week. Again, he had 6 attempts for 21 yards on a rushing, which is probably more unlikely with that touchdown to get his points. Mm-hmm. But you remember, you want to, like he mentioned, he threw 300 yards. He had 42 attempts.
Right, which is encouraging to me. Like, that if that means they're willing at times to throw the ball more, then that's a good sign.
Again, and this is, I want to be very clear. This is not me doing on Michael Penix and say he's like a scrub. It's just saying, if I could pivot for more upside, I feel like I'm seeing the path of somebody who's going to be quarterback like 18 range consistently. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. I think he's going to be a viable NFL quarterback for a long time. I think he's a talented player. I just don't know from fantasy's perspective if he's going to be a high-end output guy. And that's what we're all looking for. That's what we're chasing.
That's all. Yeah, upside. Championship caliber player week in, week out. And again, if Michael Penix is my QB2 on a really good roster, I'm fine there too. Like, I'm not a young quarterback who's insulated. Like, I'm not worried from that point. But like I said, if I can pivot, I would.
All right, let's get to the last guy. See if we can agree on this one. George Pickens. George Pickens did not have a great week one, where he only had 6 points, 4 targets, 3 receptions, 40 yards. But in week 2, looked a lot better as far as the total points. 17.8 points, 9 targets, 5 receptions, 68 yards, and 1 touchdown. And for me, it's definitely leaning toward week 2 on this one. This defense has shown exactly what I thought it was going to show. It's not a good defense. they are going to be in a lot of shootouts this year, which makes me love as much of this offense as I can get my hands on. CeeDee Lamb, interested. Dak Prescott, interested. George Pickens, interested. Jake Ferguson, interested. Javonte Williams, interested. Like, I am interested in every starting asset that I can get my hands on this team, because I think they are going to be throwing the ball, and it is going to be some fun shootout games. Will this team probably not win a ton of games? I think they're going to be another one of those like 8 and 9 type teams.
9.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where we're going to live. But I can almost guarantee that week in, week out, they're not putting up any like, oh, they put up 16 points. Like, no, they're putting up 24, 27, 30 points. Does that mean they'll win? I don't know, but they're going to be putting up a lot of points. So for me, I definitely lean more toward week 2. I think that 9 targets, I think we're going to see a lot of 7 to 9 target games for George Pickens. And we know the big plays are always there.
Yeah, I agree. I think more times than not, we're going to see a little bit closer to this. You mentioned the defense. They had a shootout this week versus the Giants. Nonetheless, Giants offense looked pretty good this week. Actually, I mean, Russell Wilson made some beautiful throws. Definitely that end throw to Malik Neighbors, and what a catch by Neighbors as well. So yeah, I think the first game versus Eagles was just a close game. So it was, they have a really good defense as well.
The delay, the weather delay.
Yeah, it was a CeeDee Lamb game. So we mentioned, earlier on in the year, like once he was traded to the Cowboys, this was a really good fit, right? Like he mentions he's winding his route tree where he's run not as many digs and go routes, but I mean, all those routes really are what Dak Prescott excels at. Dak has a really nice, accurate deep ball, and Pickens is a guy who can stretch the sideline. So I do lean more towards this week than the latter.
We're finally in lockstep here. I do think that George Pickens is going to be closer to week 2 than week 1. For all the reasons you guys said, I'm not going to beat that kind of dead horse right now. So it's just a great offense and a really crappy defense. That's the simplest way to put it.
Yep.
So
yep, absolutely.
All right, before we talk about rookies, I got to tell you guys about our friends over at FastDraft. If you want to turn your Sunday film study into instant cash, FastDraft's revolutionary in-season contests are built for Dynasty players just like us. Here's the deal, guys. Draft just 6 skill position players, no quarterbacks, no kickers. Then apply the captain boosters that multiply points up to 2 times. That sleeper rookie you discovered in our film room, boost him and watch your profits soar when he explodes on the field. Choose between 6 Super Slam or Flex 6 Frenzy tournaments with guaranteed prize pools. First place takes 30%. That's $300 profit on a single $5 entry. This is where Dynasty Nerds dominate, right? While others chase last week's stats, you have our rookie nerd scores, exclusive film breakdowns, and of course the Dynasty GM's insights showing exactly who's about to break out. Make sure you use the promo code NERDS and FastDraft to match your deposit 100% up to $100. But wait, there's more. If you're new to Dynasty Nerds, we're going to hook you up for 365 days. We're going to give you 1-year membership for the annual bundle at the Dynasty Nerds. You get everything we have to offer. Get our app store. Download the best app in the business today. You'll get the film room, the nerd score, all that stuff to get you ready for 2026. Dominate 2027. Dominate 2025 with the lineup optimizer. It's a $70 value. And if you're already a member, don't worry. We're going to send you a gift certificate to the gift shop to get you a free shirt. I've seen a lot of hoodies go out, a lot of sweaters. Tons of Nerd Herd members have already been taking advantage of this as well. We've sent out so much gear. So make sure you use that promo code NERDS. Get in there, dominate, win that cash, FastDraft.
All right, well, let's get to our second segment here. We talked about Jekyll and Hyde players, and there's some that would fit this rookie list as well, where we've seen some different things in week 1 or week 2, or maybe just drastically different than we expected to see out of these players. So let's go through. We're going to go through the top 24 ADP, and we're going to talk about how do we feel about these guys today versus how we felt preseason. Now, if we're all three kind of like, I feel exactly the same, his value and role and all of that in my mind has not changed one bit, then we're going to kind of just skip them and move on, because we don't need to reiterate all the things we talked about in the offseason. So,
well, the clear number we're talking about one is Bill Krosky-Merritt, who's the number one right now. Who's no Austin Eckler. He's going to get every touch known to man. Is that right? I'm off.
His ADP surprisingly was not number 1 overall.
Okay.
Surprising.
Not yet. Not yet, right, Rich? It's on its way. It's on its way.
But do you see this 2026 startup box?
Jeez, yeah, I'm sure they're going to be hot. All right, let's start off with Ashton Jeanty. Anything changed for you guys 2 weeks in on Ashton Jeanty?
No, absolutely not. Geno Smith just threw 3 interceptions, so prepare to see more run.
Yeah, right. No, I feel like, we did this song and dance once with a little guy named Jonathan Taylor when we were kind of burying him after a few weeks. I think right now things are moving a little fast for Jeanty, and he's, I've seen him slip and fall a couple of times on runs and stuff like that, where he's, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where he's got to catch up to the speed of the game. It's not the preseason anymore. This is a whole nother step forward in everyone's progression. So I think it's going to take a few games, and we're going to see him start to roll. It'll be fine.
All right,
he's too talented. He's too talented. Sorry.
Totally agree.
I want to say this, Garret, too, because we're going to go through. Obviously, this was a heavy running back class.
Yeah,
I'm not worried. I mean, let's just go ahead and preface it right now. In 2 weeks, I am not worried about any, and I have a couple stats here and there to kind of back it up too. I am literally not worried about any of these running backs whatsoever, except for Caleb Johnson.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. I think that's 100% fair. We will get to him in a moment. But let's go to number 2, Omarion Hampton. And kind of what you just said, Rich, I'm not worried at all. I think this is one of the players that as a community, I've seen people be like, oh, I don't like what I've seen the first 2 weeks. And Matt, you mentioned it. Jonathan Taylor, that was the guy I thought of right away when I saw this, because if there's a player that's similar stylistically to a Jonathan Taylor, it's probably Omarion Hampton. I think Taylor might have a little bit more giddy up, but overall, this is a player that I think is going to be really, really good once the speed of everything slows down a little bit. And he's a guy that needs to get in rhythm. So Najee Harris is kind of annoying right now, but a player like this needs to get that 15, 16, 17 touches to really kind of get into the rhythm of the game. And so I think once he gets to that point, he's going to be fine. If there's any dip at all there, he's one of the biggest buys for me right now.
Yeah, he's still seeing over 80% of, the backfield back there. And, obviously this week, if you watch it, I would say it was a little discouraging. He had 2 attempts at the goal line to get it in there. He was stuffed both times, and then he fumbled. He kind of muffed that handoff there. It doesn't help Max Crosby's hitting you. And then after that, Najee Harris came in the fourth quarter. He got all the touches after that. So not ideal, but again, not worried, not worried in the least bit. I mean, everything the Chargers have done is said, hey, this is the guy, clear cut.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to be said about what you guys are saying right there. And I'll just say this, Greg Roman's the type of offensive coordinator that's always going to kind of split a little bit as far as carries. So if you look back at his history, he's always kind of done that. You look back at Baltimore, and they were constantly kind of splitting carries between J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and going back to even San Francisco before that, I believe he also did something pretty similar with the running backs there. So I don't know that, I think Hampton's going to have to adjust. I think he's going to have to, yes, he's probably there's going to be higher volume rushing days than this. There was only 16 carries between the two of them, and it was split right down the middle this past week. And obviously Hampton got a lot more in week 1. So I don't know. This one I'm kind of iffy about. We'll put it that way. I'm not dropping him because I haven't seen enough to do that yet. And that's I'm a much more patient person, especially through these first few weeks of a rookie season. But it's just it's going to be annoying. Obviously Najee's only there. He's on a 1-year deal, right? So we're only really going to have to worry about Najee for this year. But I think this year is going to be a little frustrating from that perspective, that Najee is just going to be kind of annoying constantly. And Hampton might not get in that rhythm that he needs to in some games, especially if it's, if it's a game that like this past week. So I don't know. This one, I'm slightly worried, but not enough to like set off any sort of alarms.
And even though this is ADP too, remember, like by the time preseason was done, our ADP had already like we'd all wanted to take TreVeyon Henderson at 2 at that point. We had moved Emeka Egbuka up pretty significantly at that point as well. So not higher than Omarion Hampton, but again, I think Hampton was consensus for us player 3 off the board, not 2.
Yeah. Hey, Nerd Herd, want to tell you about a show that we've been doing live on YouTube where we go over your teams and we talk about how to fix your broken roster. It's called Roster Rescue. We do it live every single Monday at noon Eastern time. And if you want to get a part of that, just head to our Dynasty Nerds homepage, go under the store tab, and you'll find Roster Rescue right there. Perfect opportunity to get your rosters in shape before the season or even in the middle of the season to make sure that you can win a championship.
Right.
All right. Well, let's go to ADP's third player off the board, and that's Travis Hunter. And I know for me, I was a little bit lower on Travis Hunter just once he got drafted by Jacksonville. I loved the prospect, but all of the different scenarios where things could go awry really did worry me. So I think I have one Travis Hunter share. I think that's it. So for me, not much has changed, but it's because I wasn't super high on him comparatively either. So I don't know if that's entirely fair.
Yeah, I'd be turning on share right now. Listen to some turn back time because I did take some early on. I was taking Travis Hunter pretty high. And this was one player I would move down pretty significantly down my board. And by significantly, I'm talking about, closer where he was going, honestly, like right before, like if you had a draft like in August, like late August, like Travis Hunter is going right around pick 7, 8, somewhere right around there. And I think now like that's correct.
Validated. That's validated for sure.
ADP. There's no way he should be ahead of Tetairoa McMillan. Super flex, you still want Cam Ward. All those running backs, and easily I would take Emeka Egbuka here ahead of him. Easily I would take Tyler Warren ahead of him in tight end premium leagues. That's somebody who was not going ahead of him. I think we can all agree Tyler Warren would smash his ADP there. And then you even got some running backs like RJ Harvey. I'd be somewhat interested. He's looked really good so far in that offense as well for his future as a Denver Broncos quarterback. And Jackson Dart's looked pretty good in some of his opportunities that he's got in the preseason as well. So that'd be an interesting, depending on where your quarterback standpoint is. But still, like Travis Hunter's upside, we all knew like it was going to take him coming in, learning how to be a wide receiver, right? Like to learn how to run routes and be a true wide receiver in the NFL. So he still has a sky high upside there as well. But it's just to be a little bit slow. That's all. When you take a guy number 3 overall, 4 overall, like you don't want that. Like you want Tetairoa McMillan, right? Somebody come in, getting all the targets like right away. You want somebody who has upside of TreVeyon Henderson. You want Emeka Egbuka, like who has shown right away they come out here and can get it done. So for me, Travis Hunter, I would move closer down to that 7, 8, 9 range.
Let's go to TreVeyon Henderson here at 4. Rich, anything change for you?
No.
Me neither.
Nope.
I'm good. Yep.
Same. All right. Tetairoa McMillan. What about Tetairoa McMillan? Things change?
Tetairoa McMillan might have gone up for me a little bit. I mean,
me too.
He was a guy that I was struggling with a little bit, and I do think he actually kind of ended up ahead of Travis Hunter. So maybe he's not really. There's nowhere to go anymore. But I feel better
amongst
about
other players in the league that you might move him ahead of.
Sure.
I talked today. If I'm a little worried about Nico Collins and how bad that line is and things like that. I talked about it on one of the shows, and I'm not quite at the point where I would take Tet straight up for Nico Collins, but a little plus might get me there.
He looks very good. I'm also similarly concerned about that quarterback situation. I think we were texting about that during the game. So everyone's got some warts. It feels like somewhere, you know what I mean? There's some iffy spots. But Tetairoa McMillan is a guy he's going to be the number 1 target in that offense in short order if he's not already considered that. And he's only going to get better from there. You know what I mean? It's not going to get worse. So once he learns how to be a professional wide receiver and all that, as the years go on, he's And let's face it, and if they get an upgraded quarterback situation there, then that's when he'll really shine and be like a Mike Evans type of guy.
Yeah, I'm all in. I've seen enough. His catches that aren't even catches that are ruled out of bounds look amazing. Like he had a sweet ass one-handed catch that was like out of like bounds. He's seeing almost 40% of the target share out there in Carolina. You mentioned a guy, Nico Collins. Like I would be very interested in moving Nico for Tet if I could. I think he should be able to get a little bit plus. I would give AJ Brown plus for Tet McMillan. I am in this. He fits the category of receiver I want on my team long-term. Team playing from negative game script, got to throw the football a lot, at least for the next couple of years. The clear-cut number one on this team, getting all the targets. You don't look for a lot of competition to come in. You look for them to start building this defense in the draft, start building around, the offensive line. At some point, they might need another quarterback. But after taking Xavier Legette in the first round the year before and then take a Tet this year, I think we're pretty safe to say that we're not going to see another receiver. I think the only team that ever did that was the Lions, like 15 years ago, where they took like 3 wide receivers in the first round. So, and shout out to Charles Rogers. He was absolutely amazing until he got hurt. Like he was
until he got hurt. Yep.
RIP to Charles Rogers. He was unbelievable. So yeah, I think Tet McMillan's a massive riser for me. And I probably have him undervalued, even my overall rank set from a dynasty perspective. These are the kind of players that these are exactly the kind of players that I like to try and get ahead of, in dynasty. What looks like an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow is kind of a definition of Tet McMillan. And I would like to have, I'm lucky I have a decent amount of shares. I came out because like when you're a mid-range team, if you drafted early, right around pick 7, 8, right around there, like you ended up with a lot of Tet McMillan shares. It came down to like Tet McMillan and Quinshon Judkins, and they both look like smash picks right now too, by the way.
Let's move to, well, actually, I guess it's not him. But let's move to Cam Ward. I don't think anything's changed for me.
Nothing changed. Go on.
Yeah. No. Cam's. I mean, he's going to have some ups and downs. He's a rookie, but he looks like he's got some special qualities to him as well.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to Quinshon here. But I think this is also more of the same for me. Like I kind of expected him to be really solid, and without getting a lot of preseason work, he looked really solid in week 1.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Browns released their depth chart today for the week, and the number 1 running back was Quinshon Judkins. RB2, Dylan Sampson. RB3, where he belongs almost on a practice squad, Jerome Ford. He came in. He had just signed with the team 3 days prior. He saw 50% of the carries back there. Had 61 yards, averaged 6.1 yards per carry. Actually was a little bit involved in the passing game as well.
I would have thought.
I would say, I want to say like we're going to see what the Browns backfield is really going to look like. And I think the sky high for Quinshon Judkins here. But I think we're going to be a little bit patient. I think we have some really tough games coming up these next couple of games over the next 3 weeks. We have the Packers this week. Very good defense. Then we play, I can't recall, but then we're playing the Vikings in London. Mind you, I will miss 2 shows because I will be in London for that game and go to London and Paris. So he does got some tough defenses to come, but like if the Browns are going to win, they have to play really good defense and they're going to have to establish a run. And they haven't been able to do that yet. I think Quinshon
it's Lions.
It's Lions and then Minnesota and then Pittsburgh.
Yes. So
it's
as Bruce would say. But still, like he looked, for being on the team and practicing for 3 days, he looked really good.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. Totally agree. Yep. He is what we thought he'd be.
Matt, what about Emeka Egbuka? How much has Emeka Egbuka changed for you?
For the guy who just
he actually started rising even before the game started for me. The more and more I thought about it, obviously the dominoes kind of fell in his favor to have an early season role, kind of closer that we got to season. And he's taken advantage of it. He was one of the guys that we knew was kind of the most NFL ready as far as just being a polished guy that can do everything well. And he's showing that right now. I mean, he's getting targets. He's looking good. He's scoring. He's obviously already got a really good rapport with Baker Mayfield going. So, for me, he's probably he's the second wide receiver off the board in this draft class pretty easily. I mean, he doesn't have to fight for.
He's closer to Tet than he is Travis Hunter.
Correct. Yeah. And it's because obviously, Travis Hunter, it seems like, is going to be a week in, week out basis, whether or not he's going to be playing more defense or offensive snaps. If the team is really good on offense and has a lot of weapons, he might be helping out a lot more on defense than on offense. So
you saw that this week. Their cornerback got hurt in the fourth quarter, and he played more corner in the fourth quarter because their cornerback got hurt.
Right. So that's going to be something that's always on the table for a player like Travis Hunter, which I don't know that we ever really thought of that when we went through this whole process or verbalized it anyway. If a guy gets injured in the middle of a game and they're down a cornerback, guess who's playing? Guess who's filling in? You know what I mean? And that's what is always, I think, going to be difficult for Travis Hunter. Always has to be in the back of your mind when you're starting him. So
I guess
Emeka Egbuka is so clean right now, so beautiful. Everything's working out great.
Like when you think too, like worst case scenario, like he does get in there and he has like 2 picks. He plays really good defense. You're like, maybe we'll just play you a little bit more defense. That's like, you're so good there. You're like, oh no.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Could be interesting. Let's go to Tyler Warren. Rich, how do you feel about Tyler Warren now?
Oh, dude, tight end premium, bump him up as high as you want to bump him. Honestly, you can take him ahead of Quinshon, no argument. You can take him ahead of Emeka Egbuka, even the golden child, no argument.
I think I might be moving him up to my tight end 3 overall.
Yeah, that's very fair because I mean, like right now it's him and Tucker Kraft, right? Like is who you want to come in with after this. I mean, look what he's doing right out the gates, man. He's seen a 25% target share. He leads the team so far in targets. He leads the team in catches. He leads the team in yards. He's almost up there in routes run. He is everything as advertised draft capital. He is making everybody that took Colston Loveland ahead of him making a drastic sigh of regret because it was a massive mistake. It looks like, again, after it's only 2 weeks, Colston Loveland had higher draft capital, but he's a much worse situation. This is kind of how we saw it with Tyler Warren, like literally hitting the ground running. Things cannot be better. Garrett, you hit the nail on the head. He has earned the right after 2 games. If you did a startup after 2 games, like in tight end premium, he should be either the 3rd or 4th tight end off the board. I think it's him or Tucker Kraft fighting for that right now. And I don't think there's a wrong answer there.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, no, I finally moved him up ahead of Colston Loveland this past week. So yeah, I'm with you guys on that. So I mean, it's obvious. It's an easy thing. I mean, when you're wrong, you're wrong. And I was wrong. I picked the wrong guy.
For now, though, we'll see how things shake out long term. He might be on a more traditional path like Trey McBride was. It took him a full rookie season where he was worth nothing. And then midway through year 2, you're like, oh, well, look at this. That's interesting. So
and Garrett, to be fair, and Matt, to be very fair to Colston Loveland, he was drafted higher. He was drafted for upside. Tyler Warren was coming off, multiple years of heavy usage. Colston Loveland was coming off a major injury, didn't even play the year before. So, the fact that, like, when you look at the stats of, because I know we're talking about Colston Loveland here in a minute, that he's being completely, like, when you look at a snap share, Cole Kmet has 121 snaps. Colston Loveland has 74. Like, it's just like, it's Cole Kmet, not Colston Loveland. Even there, like, I'm not overly worried about that too. This is a player that did not play at college football last year because he had coming off a major injury.
For since we're talking about both these guys together, I think it makes a lot of sense for me. I didn't bump Loveland down. I just put Warren up. I think Warren has proven that he needs to go up. So I'm with you there, Rich. I'm not down on Loveland by any means here after 2 games. I'm not going to be that overreactionary. But I am going to be a realistic person and put Tyler Warren where he belongs after we've seen what he's done for the past 2 weeks.
And you just have to be safe. So, like, this is not anything that's going to go away for Tyler Warren. Like, this offense is humming, with the Colts right now. Like Shane Steichen finally got his quarterback that could run his offense. And we talked about it earlier. Like, what do you want a quarterback to do? You want a quarterback in a really good offensive system with a good, decent offensive line with weapons around him, but more like in a good head coach, right? The good offensive system. That's exactly what Daniel Jones fell into. And we've been waiting for. So it's been a thing of beauty.
All right. Well, I don't know that we're going to have time to get to all of the top 24, but let's get to the last two guys. We talked about 9 and 11 there with Colston Loveland, but let's get to the guy right in between them, RJ Harvey. Rich, I know that you've been the highest on him on the show. Anything change for you, or you're kind of right where you were preseason?
Right where he is right now, same spot. I would take Tyler Warren ahead of him now. I would do that bump up there. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I think I'm taking him right around here, like right around pick 9. I still feel really good about it. If I need a quarterback, I think I saw enough out of Jackson Dart in the preseason. I can live taking Jackson Dart, but probably still, I can't. The only other person I can even see remotely who took a big jump here is like Cam Scatterboo is back up because he's looking good earlier than I thought he would. But outside of that, like anybody that's in top 24, like Dylan Sampson's looked really good. I still like Mason Taylor's upside. Like one of the biggest. What's that?
Matthew Golden's interesting.
Golden's interesting. Obviously, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who's not in the top 24. We're going to talk about ADP wise. I mentioned him. He's still a big sell for me, but I mentioned about the PPR games and like a big injury, so even get involved in the PPR game. Their pass catcher running back just went down in Austin Eckler. So I'm really excited to see this week, Bill, how he works in that passing game. But I'm just going through the list here, Garrett. Like, real quick, you mentioned RJ Harvey still the same for me. Then went Colston Loveland, then Jackson Dart. Caleb Johnson at 13 would be I would dump him down some done. I mean, the coaches are mad at him. He's looked pretty rough. They just extended Jaylen Warren, so I would bump him down. But then Jaden Higgins, he's looked okay. Jack Besh, obviously, he would go down with Deontay Thornton kind of overtaking him, even though I still like Besh long term. Matthew Golden would go up. Cam Scatterboo would probably be right there where Caleb Johnson is, at pick 13 for me. He comes in, already saw, like, he's getting all the goal line carries, everything in the red zone. Cam Scatterboo's gotten week 1 and week 2. They flipped the script this past week. He gets over 51% of the snaps in that offense, where Tyrone Tracy only saw 42%. And what's really encouraging as well is when we saw, Tyrone Tracy, the former running back, wide receiver turn running back. We're like, oh, well, he'll be for sure the pass catcher running back. We know Cam Scatterboo is very capable in that situation, but we thought Tyrone Tracy would kind of smother a little bit. He saw a 33% route share, like Cam Scatterboo too. So very, very encouraging. He came in, averaged 4.1 yards per carry. Tyrone Tracy's averaging 3. So I would bump him up, Cam Scatterboo, to that 13 pick right there. And I'm so mad at myself. How many times have I said this, or any of us said this, right? Like, we do the tape study. We study tape. We study tape all year long. And then we let draft capital and situation kind of deter us a little bit. And I passed on Cam Scatterboo a couple of times where I shouldn't have. And this is what I get. I deserve all the suffering I get out of it. I deserve it. I've only got 2 Cam Scatterboo shares. And I had the opportunity to have 30 Cam Scatterboo shares. Shame on me. Why do I do this for a living?
We've all been there. We have,
man. That's rough.
Similar with Caleb Johnson. We got just on the flip side of things, like we had a bad nerd score. He did not bad, but like he was our 8th ranked running back, I think, nerd score wise. And I was like, guys, I don't see what everybody else is seeing. But then he gets drafted by Pittsburgh, and I'm like, that is a great spot for him. And, and he slowly rose up my board a little bit. And now I'm like, oh, I would trade Cam Scatterboo straight up for Caleb Johnson in a heartbeat every opportunity.
Hey, he's a better running back. we all knew that, man.
Like we said.
Yeah.
See, you can't escape it. You can't escape the lust of the NFL draft and where these guys go and draft capital. Like, even I do a good job resisting, but man, sometimes it's just too pretty not to put my lips on it.
I don't even know how to follow that up. Right?
Nothing. You don't have to. Tune in tomorrow. See how Matt follows up with that one. We'll be back tomorrow. with more Dynasty fantasy football talk. We're going to talk about some. I know we have the Isaiah Likely meter tomorrow, something on those lines.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure and if you enjoy the show, if you like some good Dynasty talk in season, make sure you leave a rating review. Follow, like we have all these other shows. This is the main show. If you follow now, we have shows coming out.
Baby.
We have 5 shows a week now. This is insane. We have tons of content on YouTube, tons of content all over those other social media places. Check us out everywhere. Leave ratings and reviews. We'll be back tomorrow talking more Dynasty fantasy football.
Adios.